Welcome to the interview series for A Journey of Riches. I'm joined today by Leigh Huxley. She's a best-selling author. We collaborated on a book together, A Journey of Riches, Living into Self-Esteem. Great to be chatting with you this afternoon. You're in the UK, right?
Yeah, in the northwest of the UK.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, nice to connect with you again.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and we had a couple of calls, team like all the authors coming together, and it was great to have everyone connected and sharing. And how was the response with from your side of things regards to the book and your chapter?
I haven't received any specific feedback simply because I haven't,
Okay.
but yeah, quite a few people who know me have purchased the book, whether they've got to my chapter or not. Some said they went there straight away. Others said no, they want to read from cover to cover, so that's fine.
Okay.
So I don't really know, but yeah, some family members bought it, so and they read the chapter and seemed to enjoy it, and they seemed to find value in what I had to share, and I'm sure they came across a few surprises that they may or may not have known about me.
Sure.
So, but yeah, who knows? So, yeah, it's just out there, and whoever reads it and whoever it can help in possibly a shift in perspective as to how they see things or how they see themselves, then that's what I think is valuable.
Yeah, I think that's you just never know how we're going to impact someone sometimes, and we've had quite substantial amount of reviews, and the feedback has been positive, and I would go
Yeah,
as far as saying glowing reviews. So
yeah, the
that's
gen
saying something. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. The reviews that you've shared with us as authors, yeah, have been touching a lot of lives, and yeah, that's
And it's quite a unique share, and the way you wrote it as well in the third, like a third person
mm.
narrative between a grandma and her granddaughter. What inspired you to take that approach?
I don't know, it just came to me.
Yeah.
But on reflection, I think I maybe at the end of my chapter should have maybe put a footnote as to the fact that the grandmother is me. The
Right.
granddaughter is fictional, but the other people in the story are also real, although they're unnamed. And my son is real. So I think people might get a bit confused about it. I don't know because it's a hybrid really between fact and fiction.
Yeah.
But I I'm not a grandmother, but I am in my wise woman years, if you want to call it that. And I've always held a reverence for the wisdom that grandmothers hold,
Yes.
even though I didn't have that sort of relationship with my grandmothers, interestingly, because, yeah, various situations. The grandmother who did live with us, she was quite cantankerous towards me, and she was very jealous of me.
Oh.
So it wasn't from her. If anything, it
Well,
was my
like
grandma.
you recreate the relationship that you desired to have growing up, maybe in a
And
way.
think I think the way I presented, I would like to have that role
Yeah,
in a grandchild. I would
yeah.
I would like to share, pass on wisdom from my own learnings. Um, yeah, so it just, I think maybe the inspiration about the vase, growing up, it it was the decade where display cabinets were, well, certainly in South Africa, I can't speak for anywhere else. So that would have
Mm.
been in the so it was, uh, so 60s, 70s. It was a big thing to have display cabinets filled with ornaments that held value or whatever, or sentimental value. And I really was always quite fascinated. I remember as a very young child just standing there observing the contents of the display cabinet, which was actually, I think, one of my grandmother's, but it was in our family home. And so I think possibly as a child, as a very young child, I might have thought, I wonder what stories they hold. So
Mm.
the opening chapter, the opening part of my book is about a vase that is there that the grandmother shows her granddaughter Emily, that has been broken and repaired many, many times. And so the granddaughter inquires, well, why have you kept it? Because it's seemingly worthless. And then the grandmother goes on to explain it reminds her of her life's journey and what she's learned. So, it just came to me just in a sequence of snapshots, really. And I thought, oh, well, I'll just run with it and see where it goes. So, parts of my stories are quite tough. If I'd written it in the first person, it could be quite, oh my goodness, she did what? But writing it in the third person, I think it was a softer approach to experiences that people go through. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I thought it was very intelligently done. There's a strong message there, moral to the story, if you like.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's inspiring. The background, you know, behind your life story and um, growing up in South Africa as the preacher's daughter and the expectations and then starting your own business and then marriage and moving to a different country and the loneliness that can seep in when you're out of community and that's yeah I feel I mean we all have done things that we're not proud of and you know there's not a human being on the planet that we couldn't say that they're proud of everything they've done you
No.
know it's what have we from learned from those experiences and what do we choose to do with the time that we have now and
Yeah.
um, what is it that so I for me what I got from it was someone that was that learned so much about themselves. Is that really yeah the key takeaway that you got from the whole experience? It's
But
just
the
a better
experience of
connection and deeper understanding of who you are.
what in actually writing it.
No, actually, like the
It's
events that you
the
went
whole
through.
journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, we all come here and we've all embark on these journeys and we've all got these lessons that we go through and we can either stay in judgment of the things we're not proud of or things that have gone wrong and you stay in victimhood. But that is just such a downward spiral. And if anything will destroy self-esteem, it's that victimhood. Well, not only that, but those are big players, victimhood, judgment of self, judgment of others. And if you can just step back from those very grueling life events into more of the observer role and look at the bigger picture and just take it as part of the puzzle.
Mm.
Um, and in any physical jigsaw puzzle in the sky, there's often darkness and clouds, but it's the shadows. If there weren't any shadows, any darkness, there wouldn't be any contrast or depth. in the puzzle. And it's the same, I feel, in our life's journey and experience. If we we in a plane of duality, we experience both. But I think well, I certainly was until I only very later realized what was happening. I was caught up in that, the darkness of the duality, and I was just spiraling down through self-judgment and shame and guilt and secrecy and all that. And it was only when I had the courage to break that, that I then started seeing, moving out of the shadows and looking back and seeing, yes, that's part of me. Like in one of the opening paragraphs, I say, we can't change events, but we can change how we see them. So
Mm.
that's a shift in perspective. So it's almost, what's that saying? When you're in the picture, you can't see the picture. You can only see the picture when you step out of the picture. So it's the same, my experience with the experiences I went through. When I was in them, I couldn't see them. I couldn't see what I was doing to myself when I was in all that. It was only when I was able to start extracting myself from that and looking back could I start seeing, okay, yes, this happened, and yeah, it wasn't great, and for all sorts of reasons for myself and others. But at the same time, the self-compassion and the kindness and the acceptance and the forgiveness, those put perspective on, they help bring perspective, and you can step out of the darkness and see, it holds value for it, and it makes you who you are. It's, we all have various scars on our bodies from various um, either things that we've done out of choice or not choice, but they heal. And those scars, I think, it's like, well, if somebody said what happened there, you can tell the story, but there's no pain or anything in there because it's all healed. The wound is healed. It's a story. And for me, it was about detaching from that story of shame, blame, and guilt and victimhood, and just accepting myself for who I was, and learning to value myself, and that the
It
lessons
really did.
are valuable.
Yeah, learning to value yourself was a big one. And you talked about like the I guess the self-harm
Yeah.
of picking the face and not feeling beautiful enough or worthy enough. Um, how much shame was attached to that, and how did you move through it?
But there was a lot of shame. I just think at that, well, I always, as I allude to in the chapter, I'd always struggled with my skin, which was um, a lot of it was an internal struggle. I mean, it was something visible, but interestingly enough, it was quite paradoxical because I went into the skincare industry, but then that also highlighted the embarrassment and the shame of not having a good skin because of my perfectionitis. I thought that everybody who worked in that industry had to have absolutely flawless, perfect skin, and I didn't. So there was a lot of self-judgment in that. But it was so internalized, and I was so good at hiding it that clients were often shocked that I had that. But so
Right.
I went through that, but on the other side, it gave me compassion for my clients who were struggling with it because I understood how they felt, and I understood how soul destroying it can be to every morning and every night face yourself in the mirror once you take all the masks and the makeup off. And it was soul destroying, and then you have to put on a brave face and move through it. So that was always underlying, but I now know that, well, so initially it was hormonal, and then it was actually stress related when I had my business in my 20s because I nearly burnt myself out, as I sort of recounted in the chapter. And so that was, this is all hindsight. So that was actually stress. It was adrenaline and cortisol because those stimulate your testosterone and all your hormones go out of whack. So that aggravated it. And then moving through that, it came and it went. And then when I went through all the the part of my life, the love triangles, the drama story, the drama triangles, it all came back with a vengeance because I didn't realize how tied in and linked it was to my emotional well-being because I had so much inner conflict and so much, I never ever expressed anger or my feelings as such. And so I would just repress everything. And I think that was the only outlet. It was very, very visible. So it was tough to deal with. But then when it really got out of control when I was going through the drama triangle stage, because I now know I didn't know what to do with those uncomfortable feelings. I couldn't express them because I felt I couldn't express them because the people around me in the drama triangle um, held very strong opinions about things. And because I was such a people pleaser and a peacemaker and all that, a fixer, a rescuer, I
Mm.
felt unheard. But at the same time, I didn't have the confidence to voice my opinion. So because I didn't know what to do with all that and it was all internalized, I think that's how all this started. And it was all those uncomfortable feelings of the shame and the guilt that I hadn't expressed were coming out. And I was punishing myself really in trying to remove it all. It, it, it's so subtle when you're in it, you can't see it. And once you
Mm.
come out of it, I was able to say, yeah, I was, I was, because I felt I deserved punishment, I was doing it to myself unconsciously. Don't know, does that, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a coping mechanism,
It's a
right?
coping.
And
It's a,
the analogy I relate it to is, the fish in the water, and the fish is like, what water?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like having that sense. You're so deep into that situation, that environment, that it just, yeah, seems natural or normal. And it's not
yeah,
until later on where you can look back on the event, or until the shit hits the fan, so to speak, that it's like, okay, now I sort of realized what's happened, who it has affected, and maybe as to, well, why did I actually lean towards having an affair in the first place? Um,
yeah. I now know.
yeah.
Well, no, I always remember the thought because I got married so young. So I was 19 when I got married. So my relationship started at the age of 15. I was very mature for my age because of my upbringing, and I grew up in a very, very adult world. So I never went through that teenage um,
Experimentation, or yeah, exploration.
yeah. Um, I was, yeah, I was very, very serious. Came into this world serious and interestingly enough, um, just a bit of an aside, I don't know my time of birth. So I've always been interested in astrology, but because I don't know my time of birth, I'm kind of like, well, whatever. Anyway, I came across somebody who does chart rectification, and even then, it's not guaranteed that is your birth time, but there's a whole series of questions that you go through, and gets put through a program, and then you kind of feel different charts. I mean, I am an earth sign and I know that obviously, and I know my moon sign, I know that's an earth sign, but I'm actually a triple earth. So when I said this to the lady, she said, when I said came into this world serious, I was born, she said, well, of course you're a triple earth. What do you expect? So that's a huge aside, but yeah, I came in
Yeah.
serious with my upbringing. So this whole seriousness of not going through the teenage thing and then relationship and then marriage and then because of the religious and ex values, I should maybe term it.
Conditioning. Yeah.
Conditioning, yeah, it was like, well, you don't mess around. There's no sex before marriage. It's like,
Mm.
so you get married and then you have sex. So there's all that conditioning around it. But the aftertaste over the years that left me with was, would anybody else want me? I remember that underlying feeling because I got married so young. It's like, would anybody else want me? So it wasn't anything active. Like I'm gonna go and it unfolded. Obviously,
Yeah.
there were my choices in it and my responses because there is. It's not just um, but it's a more complicated picture. So I think there was that questioning of my self-worth and self-esteem, and would anybody else find any value in me? Um, so I didn't put
And
that in the book, but yeah.
what advice do you give to people that are dealing with a shameful situation?
Um, it's a really tough thing to do, but um, it takes a lot of courage to share it with somebody you trust, because then that breaks the cycle. Yeah. And then from there, it's about taking responsibility for yourself and your actions and what I said, stepping away from victimhood, and trying to shift the perspective as, okay, this is happening for me. Because the victim is, this is happening to me, but this is
Right.
happening.
It's not my fault.
I've got nothing to do with it. It's other people, So yes, everybody's got a role to play. It's not as simple as um, you the guilty one in inverted commas. There's a bigger play because everybody within that holds a role, plays a role. So yeah, as I say, yeah, share it with somebody you trust, and then that starts breaking the cycle, and then there's just a lot of inner work, a lot of inner work, taking responsibility, kindness, compassion, self-forgiveness is huge. Um, I always, throughout my life, I found it very, very easy to forgive others, very easy. And that was part of my upbringing as well. It's the importance of forgiving others. That I didn't have a problem with. But to forgive myself was another story. So,
Mhm.
and that you can't start healing until you start working on that. And and if I would sum up, well, not sum up, part of self-forgiveness, a big part of it for me is um, stepping away from judgment, stepping away from the story. Um, yeah, because otherwise you'll just keep on looping the same story and nothing changes. You gotta shift perspective, shift your story, do your inner work, and yeah.
What are some of the things that you did to, to confront and I guess bring your shame out into the light?
Well, some people knew, I mean, like my parents knew, um, my then husband did know because my my dad made me tell him. Um, so that was tough. But I still held the secret very, very, very deep because at the end of the day, my son could have been my husband's child, although there was infertility involved anyway. So there were treatments and there was a very slim chance, but it could have been. So I held that very, 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 very deep inside. So I knew I didn't even tell my best. Well, I'm sure everybody has suspicions and they'll have their own opinions and everything, but I never shared the fact about my son with my best friend until I don't know, my son was possibly 7 years. So I'm sure they had their suspicions, but we'd moved away from South Africa and we were in the UK. And when that opportunity came to move away from South Africa, it was a huge sigh of relief to me because it was almost like I could go incognito somewhere else. It was huge relief, and that I didn't have to um, face everybody at home. So my son was a year old when we left, and I thought, okay, it's an opportunity for a clean slate and a clean story, and but what I didn't realize, which I mean, you kind of should realize it, but I mean, I was in my early 30s. Um, it's like you don't realize that you take you with you. You still taking all your secrets with you. You can't separate them out from you. And as I still remember meeting new people, new friends who knew nothing about my history, nothing about my background, and still feeling if only you knew who I really was and what's really happened. So I still carried all that. So it was only when I shared it with my best friend back in South Africa that kind of broke one of the links in the story. And then, yeah.
Had you told many other people before you published your story?
Odd people, some people over the years have known bits and pieces of it. Yeah, but the only time I've ever really shared it is if I've to help somebody else who's going through a similar situation. Yeah.
And what advice did you give them?
I don't know, I wouldn't call it advice, but I think just if I think back to someone in particular, I think it helped them feel not so alone in their journey because secrecy makes you very, very um keep well, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but you keep yourself very, very separate. Um, and so in sharing my story with this particular person, I'm thinking about my friend, I think it gave us some reassurance and okay, people have gone through this before. Yeah. And I have shared it in other times, actually now that I think of it. Um, people so in my story, I betrayed, not once but twice. Um, but I have shared it where people have gone through a betrayal because I did do spiritual life coaching. I don't know,
Yeah.
qualified in 21 or something, and I did a in preparation. You have to coach people to get your accreditation, and there was one girl who was struggling with the fact that her partner had betrayed her, and in me sharing my story with her or bits of my story, it helped her shift her perspective because both times it wasn't intentional. I didn't go out intending for this to happen. It was just circumstances that unfolded and different choices were made and different pathways got followed. And then you go down that path and then you go too far down the path, and so it is. So I think that helped her um, maybe to feel not such a victim because maybe in her partner it wasn't intentional like she had thought it was to hurt her. It just happened. Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
very,
I find that, yeah, when any sort of, any sort of event that where there's shame and guilt, or, any form of trauma, I used to go to men's circles, and one of the things that a lot of the feedback that I heard was that I don't feel so alone, and that so often we go through an event or an experience that impacts us in a negative, heavy way. We often feel that we're the only one going through it, and being in a men's circle, alleviated the burden of that, and to feel that they're not alone in the struggle, that other people have gone through it, and there is a way out. There
yeah,
is hope,
it
and
is.
things can
Yeah.
and most of the time do get better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that element of hope that's so important. It's if that little flame of hope gets extinguished, it's really hard to pull back. Yeah.
So how did you find hope in a seemingly, such a difficult situation?
Uh, I don't really know. And to compound the difficult situation, there were a lot of difficult situations going on at the same time. It wasn't just
When it rains, it hails. Yeah.
it was quite a lot going
Right.
on. Because yeah, once I'd moved out of the drama triangle part, which was yeah challenging enough, then I went into sorry, the love triangle part. Then I went into the drama triangle part with second relationship, second marriage, blended families, the whole thing about ex-partners, new partners, and there was this constant drama triangle, which admittedly, taking responsibility to my part, I stimulated them in a way because I allowed myself to be part of that um, as the peacekeeper because I was always trying to to put everybody else first, fix everybody else, rescue everybody else, and abandon myself. So, I had a huge part to play in this. So there was that going on, and then whilst all that was happening, my son went off, and then he had a psychotic episode, and he came back. So I had all that mental health journey, which I had no idea about going on. And so I had still this residue of skin picking and blame and shame and guilt and secrecy inside myself. And then all the splendid families and the drama triangles. And now another element of my son having a mental health crisis. And the hope came in the form of a puppy because the once I got him through the crisis, I think that pulled me out of my roles in the triangles and everything. So his mental health crisis pulled me out of all of that because he was the focus and that. So I think that's that. But then when his medication shut down, when his medication kicked in, he shut down, and then I hit the wall because I couldn't.
So
re
this is your son. This is your
my
son when he was going through his yeah, mental challenges.
yeah, so I did mention his first psychotic event there. He's since had a few, but so he shut down, and then yeah, that was another level in itself. And then this puppy came along, and she just lit me up, and I was able to. She just brought so much joy and laughter. I've always enjoyed animals, and I've always had dogs, and she yeah she pulled me. She there was definitely a soul contract. She came to help me. She was a rehoming puppy in herself. We were help, so yeah, she was my little um angel of hope that came along and shifted. And after that, I was more able. I think possibly I became um I don't know. It's never one thing. It's always been a blend of things. But then I think I started seeing the bigger picture, and I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and then I started realizing, okay, there's quite a lot of inner work that I need to do here. And then I went on a because I'd stepped away from religion totally because of all this. And then the watershed moment was when I hit 50, which is now nearly a decade ago. I just found myself going into, because that's a whole other thing of how the world views you, and a whole lot of other conditioning that I found myself getting slipstreamed into. And I thought, no, 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 this is enough. This is enough. This is not happening anymore. And I just somehow started reconnecting with my spiritual self, and going on a journey of real deep self-discovery and inner healing then. Um, yeah.
So
And
was that in like workshops, or did you have like a coach or a spiritual guide to support you?
so came in an interesting way. I've never been a techie person, and I was always like, Um, I never had an iPhone or anything like that. I just had the normal page-go Nokia. I don't even know what I had, Nokia. It was just very basic because whatever, and I didn't need it. And then something shifted, and I somehow got an iPhone. I don't know. And that, well, the first, no, no, it was the iPhone. And I came across this, and I don't even know how it all happened. I mean, they say when the student's ready, the teacher appears. But
Uh,
I discovered Hay House. Uh,
oh,
and then I discovered they had a Hay House, and it was before apps. I can't even remember how it all happened. But they had like Hay House conversations, or I can't even remember. And I came across all these really interesting speakers, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, and all that. And then it was like everything opened up from there. And then I just like just went deeper and deeper and deeper. And now I explore all sorts of things. And yeah, just love it, love everything metaphysical, and really um, cherish wisdom. And um, so I never specifically worked with a personal coach as such. Um, Although in 2019, my husband lost his job. Thomas Cook had folded, like it was, but that was like the in the tarot, the tower falling, that November 2019, everything happened. Thomas Cook folded. We got home from holiday. The next day, the company closed down. He was back in work, and there was all that turmoil going on. My son had a second psychotic episode. His parents were diagnosed with heart conditions and dementia and just everything. And I was like, right, I need to do something. And then I thought, well, I'd like to explore coaching, and that's when I found a course on spiritual coaching. So she was at the start of her journey, the lady who started the company. I mean, she's huge now. But the way the course was constructed, um, you took yourself through the journey of the chakras and through all the shadows and the light, all the so you're working on your own personal journey, and I think that kind of highlighted things. And then this whole web, because everything's connected, of all the other fascinating things I found, and it all just got woven into a tapestry of exploration and self-discovery. And I think I've always looking back on my life, I've always valued
Right.
trying to understand myself and who I am and why I am. And it's taken different guises in different ways. But yeah, so this journey has been on a journey of self-discovery.
And what would you say your top five values are?
Oh my, now you're putting me on the spot. Um, I did used to know them off, but might have changed. Um, my spiritual life.
Mm, okay.
So my time in the morning, I get up early, and that's my spiritual time, regardless. So that's kept me very grounded. Um, self-care, um, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So physical exercise, um, nature, uh, wisdom. These are all not your normal values, or well, the way they present values.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wisdom, I guess, isn't, yeah, so
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah,
Uh,
there you go.
yeah. Um, so maybe not so much my values, but what I value is maybe what I'm sharing,
Right. Yes. Yeah.
and a whole lot more. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, and how is that different to the life you're living 30, like 20 years ago?
How different is it? Uh,
Like what you valued back then to what you value now?
uh, I wasn't filling my own cup first. So I think my values were very similar, but I always gave from an empty cup, and now I don't. I don't say I never do,
Right. But you're, yeah.
I'm very aware, and that's why my morning time is my most valuable time, because if I'm fully resourced, then I can stay grounded and flexible and respond, not react. I mean, obviously there are times where you do. I'm not saying I've got it all buttoned up, but
Right. Yeah.
on on the whole, yeah, that
Yeah.
that um that morning time, and also throughout the day, I'm constantly, as and when I'm doing chores like laundry or cooking, I'm constantly listening to um, summit interviews that I really value, or different courses that I've signed up for. Because a lot of the stuff that interests me is in the States or wherever, different time zones. So I'm always listening to stuff on replays. I'm seldom able to attend live. So that is my constant fueling the fire, really. Um, yeah, of me,
Um,
of my inner world.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's Yeah, it's fascinating. And that you're really, it seems like you've really embraced lifelong learning and
Yeah.
beginner's mindset in a lot of ways that you're just open to, yeah, new information and just diving deeper into what makes you you. I find that's really inspiring, to be able to,
Yeah.
yeah,
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 I've learned to, I mean, when it all unfolded, when I got this iPhone and it all went, I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like,
right.
but then on the other side, I started overwhelming myself because I had this, underlying perfectionist that had to listen to everything from A to B and had to do it. So I had to be very careful of that. And now it's just like, well, yeah, I don't get to listen to everything I want to listen, but I'll make the most of the time that I've got. And if I don't get to listen to that, well, then that's okay. Then I'll just do it as and when. So it's that um, for me,
Yes, it sounds like a habit. That you do your best and you habitually, yeah, listen to and get involved in as many different courses and programs that fill your cup and that support you. Is that the first thing that you do in the morning? Would listen to a replay of a podcast or something like
no,
that?
no, the first hour is quite spiritual stuff. So it'll either be oh, it takes many forms. I can't even begin to explain. It's like, but I do my best to practice presence. For me, I would say that's a strong value that I've really learned. Presence to be here now, um, for myself, for others. Like if I'm interacting with a person, to really be present, um, things like that. So often it's a practice of presence, or can look like all sorts of different things. We'll be here forever if I even start on that, so I won't. And then after that, as I get moving and my husband starts getting out of bed when he hears me downstairs doing the dishes. So as soon as I move my out of my little sanctuary, which is here where I'm talking from, it's listening to my favorite podcasts or interviews or whatever. And sadly, sometimes it takes me the whole day to listen to one because
Right.
I just
So I
like,
guess
okay.
yeah,
But
you're doing other things while you listen to it.
but that's where I've had to let go of the perfectionists and but then on the other side, because of this kid in this candy store, another valuable practice is learning to complete things. Because often we get so distracted that you've got many fire irons in the fire, and so I kind of that's also another practice that I try to adhere to is as much as I want to listen to something else, I'm like, no, 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 you started this, you finish it. Because I don't have you ever heard of the four agreements?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Don Miguel Ruiz,
yeah, that ancient uh
Tolteric,
yeah,
or
uh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's a yeah
yeah,
Mexican Indian tradition.
tradition, the wisdom, and there, one of them, well, I mean, they're all valuable. Don't take
Yeah,
any personally, and they're all very, very, very sacred, really.
yeah.
Um, um, but what's the one?
Don't take things personally.
Yeah, there's don't take things personally. Always do your
Don't gossip.
pardon.
Like no gossiping.
Yeah, not
Being honoring your word. Like say, if you say
yeah,
you're going to
yeah,
meet
that,
someone at a
that's
certain
yeah,
time, then you do it.
yeah, yeah. But also, what he said in that, what the others. I mean, yes, we're more inclined to honor our word to other people, but how often do we not honor our word to ourselves?
Well, that's right.
So for me, part of that completing is I've made that commitment to myself to so now complete that. because we often leak energy when we open. It's like having too many things open on your phone and not closing them. You're not bringing
Sure.
things completion. You leaking energy. So yeah, always be true to yourself. Um, that's a strong value. So yeah, so my day continues like that, and then somewhere along in the evening I'll pick up on it again. But yeah, though, and what's really important is to follow your passion. You know, follow your passion until, and if like a fire, if it runs out of fuel, then it's complete. Then move on to the next thing that and run with that, follow that passion. Because in that way you're constantly feeling renewed and resourced and um yeah,
Yeah, I
making
like that. That's yeah, really good advice. What do you hope readers take away from your chapter?
well, I think the closing part where I speak of the kintsukuroi, the Japanese art, the pottery, where they where a piece is broken and they piece it together, and then they line all the cracks with gold. Um, yeah, for people to really embrace their journeys, and for me, the lining of the cracks, the painting of the cracks in gold is the self-acceptance and the self-valuing and the self-kindness and compassion. And yeah, that's me. But look, I've been through this journey and hey, I'm still together. And
Right,
yeah,
yes,
the broken piece is more beautiful when it's lined with gold than when it's just,
right.
so
Doesn't matter what you've been through, you're still worthy of love. You're still
absolutely.
worthy of your
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
self-esteem.
And also to really honor um your uniqueness, because we all totally unique. We're valuable just because we exist,
Yeah.
and to really embrace that uniqueness. For me, even in my 20s, it was just like when yeah, when I would hear people comparing themselves, or especially in the beauty industry, and we're like, yeah, but look how many beautiful flowers are out there. I mean, you can't say one is more beautiful than the other. They all are totally unique and totally vibrant, and have their own place, and they bloom at different times. So why are we trying to be the same? It's like, just honor your uniqueness and value that, and value your story. Own your story, value it. Um, yeah. So
I think that comes through with the self-acceptance as well, and I find that that's yeah, really, I feel shines through with the grandmother, sharing with Emily and how that kind of like having a couple of days together, and you really go deep in sharing the journey of what you went through and how you moved through it and explaining the complexities of such a situation to like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old.
yeah,
And yeah, I feel it really highlighted the fact that, yeah, like everyone suffers in situations like that, and any sort of traumatic event. And I feel that that really was one of the highlights that I took away from the experience. That yeah, everyone suffers from those events.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you stay in that suffering, you don't learn the wisdom of it.
Yeah.
Somehow it's important to work past that suffering and then gain the wisdom, because
Yeah.
that's 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 where the value, that's where the gold, the treasure is in the wisdom that you've learned from those experiences.
Yeah, and just hope everyone else takes care of themselves as well, like you
Yeah.
have. because, there's so many different people affected by the experience. And I guess all you can really do is just focus on your own reality and, yeah, take responsibility for your part of things, and then just hope that other people do the same for their own sake. And,
Yeah.
but it really is a beautiful read. And of course, people can still get the book. It's in ebook, a paperback, and an Audible. And they can find it exclusively on Amazon. It was a #1 international bestseller, I believe, in 5 countries. So it's has global recognition in the UK, Australia, USA, Canada, and Italy. And so, yeah, it was pretty amazing to know that, yeah, it was #1 in those countries in multiple categories. And yeah, just really appreciate you stepping up and being vulnerable, and being so open to help other people realize that they're not alone in their struggles and challenges.
Yeah. And that there's always hope.
There's always hope, yes, and sometimes it comes in a little puppy.
It
So.
comes can come in many different guises.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's been nice chatting with you, Leigh, and it's been wonderful collaborating with you.
Yeah.
You really are an intelligent writer, and it's amazing how far you come, and just being able to accept yourself with everything that you've been through is really inspiring.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. And
You're welcome.
enjoyed.
And yeah, that's right. It's evening here in Thailand. And but yeah, it's been great chatting with you. And of course, if you'd like to get more of these interviews, yeah, subscribe and we'll send them your way. Appreciate you, Leigh.
Okay, you too.